Hi guys, it is Allie, and today I'm going to be doing the fall writing tag. So a little context for this video, I was not officially tagged in this fall writing tag, but its creator, Alexandra Roselyn, she commented on one of my videos a while back and was just super sweet, and so as soon as I went over to her channel to check her out, I saw that she had created this original tag. I thought it was super cute. I loved all of the different questions, and since fall is, approaching, I thought it would be really fun to do this tag, both just because I like it and also to send any of you guys that have not heard of her over to her channel. So let's just get into the questions. Question number 1 is crunching leaves, the perfect sound. What do you like listening to while writing? Well, for me, currently, I am writing a book that takes place a lot of the time in transit, which means people are walking through the woods and other kinds of, environmental conditions. And so I do listen to a lot of ambient noise, of forest sounds and water, like rain and river sounds, things like that. I also do listen to some instrumental music in the background. Lately I've been listening to a lot of Celtic/Celtic music. I don't know the correct pronunciation when you're referring to music, but it's one of those two. I've been listening to a lot of that. So those are usually like the 3 YouTube tabs that I have open whenever I'm writing. Number 2 is hot bubbling cider. What is your favorite thing to eat or drink while writing? For me, I don't really eat anything when I'm writing because I have to use my fingers to type and I don't like to get grease or anything like that on my laptop, but I do drink a lot of coffee when I write because I'm very cliche, but I guess to make it somewhat interesting, my favorite coffee drink of choice is either a hazelnut or a toffee frappuccino/latte if I'm making it at home. Number 3 is bonfires, the perfect night. Name your perfect writing conditions or your perfect writing night. There's a lot of different perfect writing conditions for me. I would have to say probably the closest thing I could think of would be when it's slightly rainy, but not like a big booming thunderstorm that takes my attention away from writing because I'm terrified for my life. But yeah, just like a nice, steady rainfall. I have my music playing in the background, nice and warm and cozy. That's probably the perfect writing night for me. Also, in the midst of winter, back when I lived not in Florida where it doesn't snow, I would love to write next to my windows when it was all chilly and crisp air. For some reason, that helped me write a lot. Number 4 is pumpkin spiced latte, something you used to like but now don't. I love that pumpkin spice latte is the thing that she uses for this because I, like some people, including Alexandra apparently, am not super into pumpkin spice lattes. I've never actually had one from Starbucks, so maybe I don't know what I'm missing, but I used to get pumpkin spiced things a lot, and now I just really can't have them anymore. I just don't really like the flavor. But in terms of writing, something that I used to like but now don't really like to do is to just go into writing without planning anything ahead of time. I've written 2 books actually that I just completely wrote without any planning whatsoever, and there's a reason why I didn't try to publish those, mostly because they were just fun for me, but also because they would not have been even worth the effort. No offense to my old writing. 5 is Halloween, my favorite holiday. It's not my favorite holiday, but it is Alexandra's favorite holiday. Your favorite part of writing a novel. So for me, my favorite part of writing a novel happened kind of recently, and so maybe that is why I am using it in this video. But for me, my favorite part is when you have planned everything, you know how the story is going to progress, and then you can jump into the first chapter and really settle into this world and these characters that you've created. I think it's so cool to look at a story purely from a storytelling perspective and then to be able to take a step back and just really let yourself live and breathe through your characters, I think is so cool. You get to really just watch them grow and develop, even if you know where the story is going. It's so fun. It's probably my favorite. Number 6 is Monsters and Goblins. What terrifies you the most when writing or drafting a novel? So I think there's a lot of technical aspects that scare me, but one of the things I've been thinking about a lot lately with my current work in progress is representation. I don't mean to get like super serious in this video or anything like that, but there is a very diverse cast in my book, and while I feel that I represent them as best that I can, it is always a point of anxiety for me as to whether or not I am truly representing these people and their experiences in the way that they deserve. Part of that is just my characters in general. I hope that my characters come across the way that I want them to, but especially when those characters involve personality traits and physical attributes and just elements of their lives that are different from my own experience. I find those elements not difficult to write, but I am nervous about doing it correctly because I understand that I cannot, with my experiences, completely embody the experiences of someone else. So probably accurately representing the diversity that is essential and important to my book is the scariest part of writing for me. Number 7 is Hayrides, A Bumpy Ride. What do you do to get over writer's block or to get inspired? I actually talked about this a lot in my distraction series, and I talk in those about how to not only get rid of writer's block once it's hit you, but also how to keep focused and to avoid writer's block in the first place. And then also in the third element of that series, I talk about how just thinking about your book and developing your book in other ways can also count as a writing day, in my opinion. I know some people don't agree with me on that, but I would probably say of all of those things that I talk about, the biggest things for me is listening to music and creating character and story playlists of music. I think listening to something that makes you think of your story is the easiest way to get you back in the zone. And I find even if I'm just kind of apprehensive about writing, or if I'm just really not in the mood, it almost immediately turns on my writer brain to just put on some music that is connected to my story in some way, and almost immediately I will be ready to go. So music is definitely the biggest writer's block killer for me. Number 8 is haunted houses, world building. What are some tips you have on crafting the perfect world? So I am very interested in world building. I love world building. I have done a lot of it. I've spent a lot of my time in this current work in progress doing world building. And from all of that, I would have to say that the number one thing that I have kind of learned for myself is that I believe you should always know 20% more about your world than the readers do. And what I mean by that is that I feel like with world building, a lot of times writers either know everything there is to know about their story and about their world, and only like 20% of it is ever necessary for the plot, and then you've just wasted a whole bunch of time. But then there's also people that I have read books from where the world building feels really underdeveloped, and it feels like the characters don't really have a ground to walk on. And yet, if you know exactly as much about your story as the story necessitates, I feel like it can usually come off as the idea that your world is created only for the sake of this story, and it really doesn't create any sense of depth in your world. And so that is why I say 20% more at least, more than your story requires. That way, just when you're thinking of things in your brain, you don't have to question yourself on whether or not they would have this kind of fabric in this world. You know, would they have chiffon in the medieval times? I don't know. Maybe research that, maybe figure that out for your own world. Would they have this kind of livestock in this area? What is the general geography of this area? Even if it's not necessary to your plot, I do think knowing at least a little bit more than your story necessitates is overall beneficial to your writing and gives your story a broader sense of depth. Number 9 is pumpkins. It all starts with a pumpkin. Do your story ideas start with characters, plots, setting, or something else? For me, almost always character. I am one of those people, I will listen to a song and a character will pop up into my head. If you want to know how the idea started for my current work in progress, you can look at my work in progress tag. You could also head over to my blog where I did a much longer and more in-depth blog post about my current work in progress, and I talk about how I created or came up with the idea for my main character in my current work in progress named Rowan. And in terms of any other stories I've written, I don't think there's been a single one that has started with a plot. Plot is usually the last thing for me to develop. I take a lot of time to make sure that I am telling the story in the way that I want it to be told. Maybe setting sometimes. I do sometimes start a story with setting, but almost always that's tied to a character. So I would say character 99.999% of the time. And number 10 is the last one, and that is ghost stories. Share a spooky writing prompt. So I came up with a prompt for this, and it is actually based on a YouTube video I was watching a while back of people drawing creepy things, and so I will leave that linked below if that is something you're interested in, but I will share with you my scary story prompt, which is, let me read it from here, "The house had no doors, but many, many eyes." Is that scary? I don't know. You can make it scary. So anyway, that is the fall writing tag. Thank you so much to Alexandra Roselyn for being so nice. She gave me such a lovely comment on my video and then shared my channel on her Twitter page. I just love the kind of community that is just around me in the Authortube and Booktube community. I think it's so great. So I will leave her original tag video linked below. Hopefully you guys will check her out. She is so sweet. And I will see you guys next time. Hey guys, if you like this video, there are 3 things that you could do that would really help me out. First, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Second, let me know what you think in the comments. And third, check out my website, wordhamster.com, for courses and contests. When you do any of those things, you are supporting me and my work with young writers. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys next time.